Hello, I'm Andrew Rohr, and
I'm Eros Mejia Hernandez.
our honors contract for spring 2016. So essentially, this is for the class Organizations, Applications, and Technology. And so we decided to kind of take approach on this and kind of compare two different business model methods. We're going to be comparing the Lean Startup method to the business model canvas. The business model canvas was the one we discussed in class, and so we decided to take a comparison on one that we're both very familiar with and kind of compare them, see which situations each one's more efficient in and stuff like that. So let's get right into it. We're going to be referencing a couple books throughout this presentation, and this is essentially going to be a YouTube mini series. So there'll probably be about 6 episodes, so stay tuned. So the first book we'll be referencing it's called Business Model Generation, a handbook for visionaries, game changers, and challengers. It's written by Alexander Osterwalder and Yves Pigneur. So that's the one we use in reference in class. And then Eros will be referencing another book.
Yeah, and for the Lean Startup method, we'll be using 2 books. One book is The 4 Steps to the Epiphany by Steve Blank, and then the other one we have The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. So we'll be using those 2.
All right, perfect. So let's get right into this. So for the business model canvas, let's go over a few steps. There's 9 steps total for this method, so we'll go over those just briefly so you guys are familiar with what's going on. I'd like to start this out with the definition of the business model according to the business model canvas. A business model describes the rationale of how an organization creates, delivers, and captures value. So essentially, there are 9 steps. Among those 9 steps is the first, which is customer segments. So essentially, a customer segment is, it's kind of a category of the market. So an organization serves to one or more of these customer segments, and what they serve them with is the value proposition, which is section 2. And then a value proposition is pretty much what problems you're solving with your product, what needs you're satisfying, all that kind of stuff. And that ties into channels. This is how you deliver your value proposition. So whether that's through the internet, through any sort of communication channel, really, distribution, all that kind of stuff, however you deliver your value proposition. Next, we got customer relationships. So essentially, it's just like it sounds. It's your relationship with your customer, the kind of brand you put off to them, your customer image. You really want to have a positive branding image with all your customers. And next, we got revenue streams. This is the result revenue of successfully implementing your value proposition and distributing it accordingly. So then that ties into key resources, which are the assets required to offer and deliver all these previously described elements, and key activities, which are what you do to achieve these revenue streams. So pretty much the most important activities in business operations. Next, we got key partnerships, which, as you know, no business can do things alone. You have to have certain partnerships in order for things to be a lot easier and for things to be a lot more efficient. If you do everything yourself, if you manufacture your product, produce it, ship it, do everything yourself, you're going to have to charge a lot more than if you gotten help from your key partnerships. And then lastly, we got the cost structure, which is essentially all these elements combined and evaluating your costs, whether they're fixed costs or variable costs, and the cost structure, the way it is, and whether that leads to profits being generated or losses being generated. So those are the 9 steps of the business model canvas. Now Eros will go over the 4 steps of the Lean Startup method.
All right, so we have 4 steps. And they go as customer discovery. The second one is the customer validation. We also have customer creation and company building. And so I just want to talk about a little bit of philosophy for each one. So for the first step, the customer discovery philosophy, I'm going to take a quote from Steve Blank's book, The 4 Steps to the Epiphany. It says, let me state the purpose of the customer discovery a little bit more formally. A startup begins with a vision of a new product or service, how the product will reach its customers and why lots of people will buy it. But most of what a startup's founders initially believe about their market and potential customers are just educated guesses. A startup is in reality a faith-based enterprise on day one. To turn the vision into reality and the faith into facts and a profitable company, the startup must test those guesses or hypotheses and find out which are correct. So the general goal of customer discovery amounts to this: turning the founder's initial hypothesis about their business model, market, and customers into facts. And since the facts live outside the building, the primary activity is to get in front of customers, partners, and suppliers. Only after the founders have performed the step will they know whether they have a valid vision or just a hallucination. What you need to know, right, is the hypothesis, who's going to buy it, why they want to buy it, and at what price they will buy it. But until you validate all that, then everything you come up with is merely a guess. So that's what the validation. And let's talk about the third one, which is customer creation. So it's just two parts to this one, customer creation. You have to think of what type of startup are you, and what are your positioning messages based on your deep understanding of who the customers are and what they want. So once you have truly first guessed who your customers are, validated that, then it's time to turn to see how you're going to position your company to actually relate and make sales to these customers. And the very last one, company building. There are 3 actions that you have to take as a startup in the Lean Startup method. You have to build a mainstream customer base beyond the first early evangelist customers, which means you have to expand past your first adopters, your most enthusiastic visionaries, right? You have to go to the mainstream so you can scale. And then you have to build the company's organization, their management, their culture to support a greater scale. And then lastly, you have to create a fast response department, or departments plural, to sustain the climate of learning and discovery that got the company to this stage.
Awesome. So that's the 4 steps of the Lean Startup method. And you can kind of see some of the similarities right off the bat with the business model canvas. And we'll go in more detail about that in the later videos. So now let's go over the first level of our class, which dealt with directly applying the business model canvas. So for level 0, essentially our objective was to build our team. We had 4 people on our team, and we had to decide on a team name, a logo, and kind of our purpose or general idea. And so our team name we came up with was Rest Assured. It was essentially a company that aims to solve a lot of the problems that elderly people face nowadays with difficulties as they age. And so that was really our purpose for this company. And so some of the positions, going back to the business model canvas, the positions are kind of the traditional positions that you hear about in typical companies, and this is what a lot of companies go with, the later stages once they're already developed. And so the first position, you've probably already heard of this, it's the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer, and essentially they're the highest ranking corporate officer, the head of management, and they make all the high-level decisions about policy and strategy of the business. So next, we got the COO, which is the Chief Operations Officer, also known as the President. They're responsible for the day-to-day operations. They back up the CEO, and surprisingly, not all companies have one. Some companies just have one CEO running it, but it all depends on the company. Next, we got the Chief Financial Officer, or the CFO. They manage financial risk using data analysis, charts, graphs, financial planning, and record keeping. So they're the big numbers guy, and they make sure business is profitable. Next, we got the Chief Marketing Officer, or the CMO, and they're the head of sales. They're in charge of product development and marketing. Their main goal is to grow through the use of sales and marketing. So every dollar that's invested in marketing should result in at least $1 of sales. And lastly, we got the CIO. That's the head of information technology, essentially the Chief Intelligence Officer. And they manage information systems that the company may have. So an information system might be, the credit card system the company uses. So if you're at Walmart and you scan your card into the system, there's an information system that deals with that and makes sure your money gets taken out of your account and it's safe and secure. So pretty much the CIO manages all the information systems that a company may have. They create goals to ensure information is accessible and only accessible to the right people, the people who should be able to view them. And so that's just those are the main positions in your typical business. It's not all of them, so this list is inclusive. But so now let's get into some of the positions when a company is just starting out, according to the Lean Startup method.
Mm-hmm. So for the Lean Startup method, there's this, it's radical. It's especially considering the more traditional routes. So they actually completely drop, for example, the VP of marketing. They totally drop the VP of sales, and what they do use are four people. So they break up into 2 teams, each having 2. So there's only 4 people. They break off. You got 2 in each one. So on one side, you have your customer discovery team, which means these people are going to be, 1, you're going to have your business visionary in there, and 2, you're going to have your business executor. And with the business visionary, they're the person who needs to lead the team. More likely than not, this person is the CEO, right, leading the whole pack. And this is the person who really has that passion, has the idea, saying, you know what, I want to make this company be this. And so, as a business visionary, they're the ones who give it out. They're the ones who lead. But they also need a strong sidekick. And that's why they need the business executor who, has determination, continues to work hard even after multiple errors or mistakes. So that's your business executor. And then so that after your customer discovery team, you have on the other side, you have your technology or product discovery team. So you have your technology or technical visionary, right? So this is the person who says, I've understood what the business visionary wants in the company. Now I'm going to deliver, which means that you could, as you could assume, this is the more engineering side of it, the people who actually create the product, the service, whatever it is. And just as the other business visionary needs a good sidekick, this person also needs the business executor who will be more hands-on, more technical, will be really in, help build this project. And then especially, so with these 2 groups, you have your customer discovery team, you have your technology product discovery team. They have to have really good chemistry together. They have to work all the time, because what's going to happen is you're going to have a lot of information here from the customer discovery team. They're going to be giving it to the technology product discovery team. They have to work well together so that your products come out very well and that your customers are very satisfied. And so, ultimately you have to have some characteristics that they all share, right? So one thing that I want to touch base on is, here's just some examples of what you need to look for when you're choosing these 4 people, especially when you're starting out. So you have to first make sure that you have experience moving between the customer and product development team. So a lot of movement, a lot of communication. And can they listen well, or are they more interested in talking? Can they understand what they hear, or do they report what they wanted to hear? Can they deal with constant change, or are they more comfortable with doing the same thing day to day? Do they have the capacity to put themselves in the customer's shoes and understand how they work and what problems they have? Or are they more interested in talking about and selling a product? Are they self-starters, or do they wait for direction? Are they innovators and creative, or do they do what others tell them? So those are some characteristics that you might want to consider, especially when you're starting out in a company. You want to make sure you have the right people, because no matter what model you use, if you have the wrong people, you most likely will fail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I can agree on that. I think we can all agree on that. And so right off the bat, you can see the similarities and differences between these 2 models. I think they're both, now that I'm looking at both of these models, it seems that they're both, they both have really good points. And so I really like the Lean Startups method positions for, early on. Those positions seem quite applicable. And as a company, develops and things get more official, these official titles such as all these officers, chief executive officer, financial officer, all those become more professional and apparent, and especially in these larger companies and ones that are, in their prime. So you see that a lot in that industry. So that really concludes our first video. Tune in next time for video number 2. We'll be going over level 1 of our project, which was pretty much goes over a product that our company is going to be making and selling.
And our customers, like how the product relates to our customers.
So stay tuned. Thank you.